The first thing that hits you is the sheer scale of the crisis. Then, the heartbreak. Every day we thought, and they probably thought too, well, it can't get much worse. Almost every day, it did. Another injustice. Another act of cruelty. Of senseless brutality. Another reminder of the risks and sacrifices.
What did you do in Aleppo, student?
The vast majority of migrants we met were Syrian refugees. This is the road to Aleppo. Having been to Syria, I knew firsthand the death and destruction they left behind. But why now? That war has been raging for almost 5 years.
No life. No life.
Every last person we spoke to told us the same thing. Now, their lives were in danger. The war was no longer something on the horizon, but in their neighborhoods. And their homeland was never going to get better.
What we found along the way is that people you meet tend to come from the same area, like a large group of people from Aleppo. In an entirely different location, everybody is from Latakia. And what we learned is back in Syria, they see their friends leaving and neighbors leaving, and they think we should leave too. So you've got whole neighborhoods, whole communities emptying out at once.
We found so many people who left behind successful, prosperous lives because they felt they had no other choice. A cardiologist with his 3 children, whose wife is a dentist. The legal advisor on the train. An agricultural engineer. A laboratory technician. And we've seen just a staggering, heartbreaking number of children. Toddlers, babies. They had seen that some of those who had gone before them had pulled it off, had found a place to make a fresh start. Still, though there may be strength in numbers, it's the scale of these numbers that has caused the doors to start closing. So they were trapped by the thousands for days at the Budapest train station. Then there were those who made it onto trains, thinking they were headed to the border, only to be herded into holding camps. We saw Hungarian riot police spraying tear gas into crowds and beating a crowd of migrants with nightsticks, women and children among them. Now, the Hungarian government is building a 110-mile razor wire fence, which will not only keep the migrants out of the country, but out of the rest of Europe as well. Its right-wing government will have a lot to answer for. The UN has criticized Hungary for what it calls callous treatment of the migrants and clear violations of international law. And there's irony here. Hundreds of thousands of Hungarians used this same route to flee Soviet occupation after World War II. But now, the migrants' trail must take them through Serbia, through fields still littered with landmines from the Balkans War of the 1990s. There have been some heartwarming moments. By wild coincidence, we found 16-year-old Jawan Kamal from Aleppo on a train through Austria 2 weeks after we first talked with him in Greece. His escape, still a hopeful fantasy.
I want to save my future.
He's now made it all the way to Germany, the country most of these refugees hope to settle in, where he's free to start a new life. But tens of thousands are still stranded in between. A humanitarian crisis made worse because of a political crisis. The newly homeless, the people nobody wants, driven from the place they can no longer live.